Hey everyone, it's Jenna Melanson from Canadian Beats Media. Today I'm joined by Nova Scotia's Campbell and Johnston for our ZOOMIES Stanfest edition. Welcome, Christine and Blake.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having us.
First off, care to introduce yourselves to our readers?
Well, I'm Blake. I'm Johnston, the latter half, and this is Christine Campbell, the first half.
Sometimes I go by CC.
We sound a bit like maybe if you've been injured in a car accident and want to get your money.
Our names sound like a
We did an interview recently where somebody just, I don't know why, but they said, and today we have on our show Campbell and Sullivan, and I was laughing because it was like, it really doesn't sound that much different. It was like, no, they're the accounting firm. They're just down the hall.
I think it was the Sullivan's Crossing in the
could've
bio that made them. Yeah.
Anyway,
But I've introduced myself as Blake before and him as Christine. So, we're already, they were probably still better than some of the intros that I've done. They were blues rock. We're both guitar players. We actually have a lot of folk and some kind of country roots and all different styles. I've got a classical piano background and a lot of ADD. So I feel like we're finally kind of chiseling out a sound at least. But it does encompass all those influences. And we do a full band and we also do acoustic, which is what Stanfest will have. So anyway, we're just two guitar players, singers, essentially. I'm in the East Coast.
Awesome. What does it mean to you to perform at Stan Rogers Folk Festival, where it's known for its dedication to celebrating songwriters?
I like it.
Tall order, I guess, because I feel like Christine's done it before on her own, but this will be the first time that we've done it together, and we're not necessarily known as, I mean, we are songwriters, but our music usually tries to encompass different elements, and it's not just purely based off of the three chords and the truth. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and we do have songs that I would say kind of fall under that umbrella, but I feel like Stanfest is geared more towards people that are writing songs just based off of skeletons and sort of you could play the song on just an acoustic and it's more about the lyrics. So we spend a certain amount of time working on the music as well, but
we definitely have that in our repertoire though, and it comes out more in these types of settings. We can't do those songs in like the full band sometimes, and so it's nice to have this outlet to be able to tap into that, because we do have folk songs about deep meanings that you just can't really tap your foot sometimes to, or headbang or whatever.
And sometimes it's nice when you're joining a bunch of people that are all kind of a similar ilk, if you will. We're kind of the odd ones out, which isn't always a bad thing. It just means that everybody that's attending the festival will get at least one taste of something that's slightly outside of the normal thing, which to be honest, I kind of look at that as being an advantage or a benefit.
Definitely. As part of a festival that honors the legacy of Stan Rogers, how do you incorporate storytelling into your performance?
We talk a lot. I don't know if you've noticed, but we talk a lot.
Yes,
So
we have a problem.
Yeah, we have no trouble.
If anything, we have to usually snip and do the Ross from Friends thing, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we fit in perfect there as far as being able to tell some stories or elaborate or illuminate maybe how a song or why a song was written.
I've only done Stanfest once, but it was wonderful. And back then I was a little nervous to talk, and but it still seemed like I feel like we really fit those vibes well, because we still have kind of almost like an acoustic filter to what we do. And it's different enough that it's kind of like a nice little breakup of what's going on. It just gives it a bit more of a spectrum of dynamic. I've gotten a ton of requests over the years to get back there. So I think it's going to be great. And it's just a wonderful festival, wonderful musicians, and just a fun weekend of like jamming and great vibe.
So the festival is known for its intimate and community-oriented atmosphere. How does performing at this type of setting differ from larger venues or other festivals you've played?
It doesn't. I mean, we play a lot of festivals like this. I suppose just because of the stretch of what we can do. Like, we've played at biker festivals with electric guitars, or I could be playing piano at the spring annual dinner of,
The Catalina wine mixer.
yeah, it could be anything, but now I do feel like what we do at least is like cut from the same cloth. So
Mhm.
the kind of show we would do there is very similar to a lot of the shows of what we do, where we do a lot of duo shows in general. We tell a lot of stories. We love listening audiences when it's in that capacity. So it's great. It's exactly the kind of festival I want to do. And but if we were doing a full band, then a different atmosphere where people are jumping everywhere and being loud is acceptable too.
Well, I mean, I feel like as long as we're received well,
Mhm.
always the chance that they hate you and they're like, get out of here. But if they do receive us well, when you show up to a place like that where, I mean, Stanfest is getting a lot of the same people every year, and they have now for, I don't know how long this thing has been going on, but I'm sure there's a handful of people that have been there, if not every year, pretty damn close to it. So a lot of those people feel like you're kind of coming to their backyard, um, which there's pros and cons to that. If they don't like you and they feel like you're showing up to their yearly watering hole and taking up their time, they're like, beat it, bozos. But if they do like you, it's very similar, come on into the kitchen, coffee's up there, spoons are right there, make yourself at home, bathroom back there.
I mean, I've never experienced the other. I've only experienced like it's a really good vibe. I suppose that could be different this time, knock on wood. But yeah, just the mentality is so everybody is on their best behavior and like showing their best side and just in a really good mood, which is
Mhm.
really nice for an office for your work.
Yeah. Um, do you have any new projects or upcoming releases in the works? And will Stanfest get a preview of any of that?
Well, we released a record on May 31st, and we just
So probably
this
not.
week. Well, this week we just got one shipment of CDs in, and we're waiting on the vinyl to show up. So there's a good chance that Stanfest will be at least one of the first couple of places we play this summer where we will have the physical copies of the
Yes,
record.
awesome.
You can stream it now on all the fun streaming platforms, but we're waiting any moment now to get the vinyl so that we can start selling them at shows. So hopefully when we show up to Stanfest, we will have both options, and they will at least be one of the first audiences to be able to purchase that if they so choose.
Mhm. Okay, that's awesome. The festival is kicking off with The Circle Continues. Stanfest celebrates Bruce Guthrow. Do you have a favorite song by Bruce?
I'm so bad with song names. I have to preface this that when I used to write set lists for my band, it would be like just the words that stood out to me, and my band would, what is this? Like Faraway Eyes was when we used to cover that Stone song?
Down on Your Luck.
Down on Your Luck, and then we used to do Midnight Rider, and what did I call that?
Silver Dollar.
Silver Dollar. So, but the Bruce Guthrow song I like was I met Bruce Guthrow at Stanfest, and like my very first appearance there and really acoustically in the Nova Scotia scene was because of Bruce. He had me come up on stage and do an original tune, and it was super intimidating, and since then we had like quite an amazing friendship, and I've been at lots of his songwriter circles at golf tournaments, all that kind of thing. So but the very first thing that caught me was, I think it was like Jump in the Fire, or I'm mixing it with Deep Purple, the name, but like
Not sure.
Put Out the Fire. I don't know what the name is. I just remember that song and I always loved it. And a lot of my favorite records, I still don't know the names. I just know the numbers on the album. But that would be the one. So you have to do the extra investigating of what song that actually is called.
I'm not hugely familiar with a lot of Bruce's music, but I think the important thing, aside from his original tunes, is Bruce was one of those guys that he really had a big hand, I think, in making it feel like that kind of backyard thing. Like so many people, I mean, Bruce was just attached to Stanfest. And he's one of those guys that over the years being in the industry, like tons of people have a Bruce Guthrow story. And that's one of those things that I think people are really feeling that sort of void or that gap. And hopefully his kids or people that were close in his camp can kind of continue that tradition. And I think
They are.
that's more
It's
important
amazing.
as far as actually hearing Bruce's songs, more feeling Bruce's
Presence.
sort of, yeah, and his influence on those things, and just making sure that isn't lost, because I think that's an important, not just of Stanfest, but there's I mean, he did those songwriter circles at the casino for years, and
Oh, just like all the golf tournaments that they do for charities. Like I remember, well, we're straying off topic here, but just him coming in and like the whole team that he had, they had written a song during the golf game and they were like all singing at the top of their lungs. It was a really good song that they and then I played a game of golf with him and it was so rainy that my shoes got destroyed, but he was insisting on finishing it. So we stopped, bought new shoes, finished the game. But I don't, it's hard to envision somebody else coming up and actually ever filling in that void. But I'm really glad to hear that people are trying to keep that memory alive.
I don't think you can ever, somebody like that has not only like the influence that he had, but Bruce was around forever. So it was just kind of, it's one of those things where you just kind of become part of the fabric of what it is to play music, especially in festival seasons around here. So I think, no, you can't replace Bruce. We try and carry on some of that tradition, and just hope to keep it burning for the next group of people. So, and I think Stanfest, by the sounds of it, Stanfest and even the casino, they're still continuing to do those things, and making sure his name is remembered. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Are there any artists on this year's lineup that you're particularly excited to check out?
Well,
I'm not even sure who's on the lineup other than
didn't want to admit that part of it. The only thing is because it's right at the end of recording our album, releasing the album, we do have a 4-year-old and an 11-year-old. And because the summer is so busy, packed, and we are just getting ready for like a huge slew of dates. It all kind of at first kind of runs together. So I feel a little guilty at that, but a lot of times our focus doesn't completely hone in until just before the gig.
she's an apologist. I'm making no bones, but anytime I get a chance to see JP play, he's just such a world-class player that if I can watch him play guitar for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, I usually end up walking away.
I think I heard Irish is down there, who I just am, well, she's a good friend and just an amazing musician.
Yeah.
Been wanting to catch up with her. But I mean, I'll miss a bunch of people, so that's why I have trouble saying it, because yeah, we just got back from Ontario and we're just cramming in, and now we're going back to Ontario very soon to the Ottawa Blues Fest and a few other dates. And there's
JP,
lots though.
JP.
Lots.
We always
have a list.
We always want to see JP.
Ask me again like a week before the show.
For sure, it's early. So the next 5 questions are just for fun, and you can both answer. What was the first festival you ever attended as a fan?
First festival, I think it was Dutch Masons for me.
Oh God, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 2007. It was the Friday night that Kenny Wayne Shepherd played, and I was there with my cousin. I think I was like 17 or 18, but I had long hair and was dressed like a musician, if you will. And we snuck backstage, and nobody bothered us. I was eating from the catering table. This was like late at night after the headline was done, but we were just milling around and eating the leftovers of what was there. That was my first experience at a festival, Dutch Mason Blues.
I honestly have no idea what the first festival was, but I do remember going to Stanfest, and it was like back in the Stone Mary Stogie days. I quit smoking for a bit, and then I finally, after a certain amount of time, was like, I'm gonna have a big cigar. We stayed up all night jamming, and then I went to Stanfest, and that was a huge mistake, because like we had like our two bands who just happened to be Co-Billing and Monks, and stay up all night smoking and drinking whiskey or whatever. And then I went to Stanfest, and like I literally didn't sleep for 3 nights because I was so tired. And then in the daytime I had a tent and it was too hot to sleep. But as soon as nighttime would come at Stanfest, you could play a guitar anywhere, and suddenly there'd be like a stand-up bass or a violinist, and it would turn into this incredible jam. It was like just a funny movie where it didn't matter where you went, suddenly there was like a full group of people jamming, and it was so awesome that I literally stayed up every single night. I didn't sleep that weekend. it was crazy that my brain is still functioning after that first experience. And that was where I think I met Bruce Guthrow too. Went up and did one song at the end, but that was purely just to have fun that weekend. I don't know when it was, so
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. Um, what's the first thing you do when you arrive at a festival?
It's usually
Use the
like,
washroom.
who do I talk to? Where does the orange shirt? You're always just trying to get a lay of the land and figure out.
Check into the hotel.
Yeah, like where do we put the gear? Or the worst thing is always so where is merch? And you're always trying to locate somebody from the merch table and get everything sorted out. It's usually like housekeeping. As soon as you
Yeah.
get there, you try and get all that stuff out of the way in hopes that you might get to relax for a little bit
I
before
suppose
you go on.
usually if we can load in right away and just kind of get our stuff there, just they know we're here, we know we're here, and how the lay of the land is set up, and then we can just like go kind of recuperate for just a little bit.
For sure. What's your go-to snack when you're performing at a festival?
Bars and bananas.
Like
So sick of bars and bananas, but they are so handy.
Cliff Bars and gas station boiled eggs tend to be like the
I
quickest
can't
thing,
eat another
but,
boiled egg, but
coffee. It's the other thing
yeah.
that just
energy drinks.
yeah.
I mean, bars, I just try to get decent protein bars that are half healthy for you, but
Depends on the level of the backstage catering too. Sometimes you walk back and you're like, hey.
yeah.
Other times you walk back and you're like, yeah, okay.
And even then, it's like we don't like eating at least 2 hours before a show. That's rough when you got to, because singing with broccoli in your teeth or having to put much in your belt and bloated and tired is just not, momentum to project. But yeah, bars and bananas.
Okay. If you could create your dream festival lineup, living or dead, who would be the top 3 headliners other than yourself?
Oh
Led
God.
Zeppelin, Deep Purple, for sure, because they're my 2 favorites. But do they have to be alive?
She said dead or alive.
Actually, I guess they are alive anyway.
Oh my gosh. That's so only 3?
Only
The
3?
third spot would be very tough. I mean, we'd have to say Stones if we were together. Whenever I was in labor, all I could listen to was Stones. And luckily, Blake is like obsessed with Stones as well, so that works out well. Oh, and the Crows, Black Crows, we have.
I guess I would probably have to say, yeah, if we're gonna go Stones, like Stones lineup 72.
Heart, though, would be pretty for
original
Joplin. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, original Allman Brothers Band and Jimi Hendrix would probably, I would have to say the
I think I would say Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Joplin.
yeah, I mean you can sign me up for either one of those. That's so hard. That's unfair. 3 is just yeah.
Why are you making us choose? Can't we pick 20?
Why do you do this to people?
Yeah, ask me in an hour might be slightly different, but the first 2 remain the same.
Okay.
Just like
And what was your favorite festival memory, either as a performer or attendee?
That's a good question. That's a hard one. This is
I would
lightning.
say Stanfest is among them. That one weekend where just everywhere you went, like it'd be like 3 a.m. and everybody would just amass around you. I would kept going around with a guitar and suddenly, stand-up basses and violins jamming on your songs was pretty incredible. There was one time at the Hullabaloo that Irish Mython and I, we did the songwriter circle on the Sunday. I think we had a little hair of the dog just that once. It was with Mike Bigger as well. And we did a songwriter circle. It was like 45 minutes. And it was in a church. It was beautiful. And we were all feeling kind of inspired and having fun. So we just kept it going. And we did a 13-hour jam. And we never repeated a song once. We just took it to like where the campers were and everything. And it just amassed and it just got really big. And nobody could do a song more than once. And everybody was just in on the jam. And I've never done a 13-hour jam before. I probably never will again. But yeah, that was a pretty monumental moment for me when I think back on it. And just the contagion, like it was seeing the inspiration and just not wanting to stop and the harmonies. And yeah, I'm just saying the same thing over and over, but I guess I'm just kind of transporting back there.
That's a hard one. Well, this is dumb, but it comes to mind as I think about this often. I was at Harvest Jazz one year and we played, and Christine had to go to Ontario. She had a gig that was a couple days before the rest of the dates that we had to do. So she left early, and I stayed back with a friend of mine who is notorious for, he always has a camera and he's always filming shows. And we went, Marcus King Band was opening up for Trey Anastasio's band in the big tent. And we got there, and we kind of got there a little bit early, but there was still some people milling in, but enough so that we could get fairly close to the front. And my buddy had a tripod for the camera and everything, and he just set it up like in front of the stage. And I thought, like, we're gonna get kicked out, and if they come over and ask him, I'm gonna say, like, I don't know who this guy is. I've never, I don't want to. And not only did that not happen, but I think they thought maybe he had a media pass or something, because people stayed clear. We had like our little spot for the whole show. I was comfortable. I wasn't elbow to elbow with anybody.
Only he could pull that off.
Yeah, and he actually got good footage of the show. So for the rest of that tour, we were on the road for 2 or 3 weeks. We were watching back clips of the show. So I thought that was a gas.
He's somebody just like a Bruce Guthrie in the sense, wherever you go, there's going to be stories and memories made.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it for ZOOMIES Stanfest edition. Thanks for joining me, and have a blast at the festival.
Well, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.